I want to share something with you guys today that I wish people told me when I first started under chiropractic care. And it's something that actually, as a chiropractor, I have learned to appreciate so much more and appreciate chiropractic so much more. So I want to give you guys a little peek behind the curtain today, more than neck and back pain, and talk about the higher things that we want our patients to really not only understand, but really experience when they come into our office as their care continues. So welcome back to the Align Your Health podcast. I'm Dr. Ryan. This is my wife, Ashley, and we're excited to get started today. We were talking about this research that came out, and this researcher is really awesome, but her name is Dr. Heidi Haavik. And Dr. Heidi Haavik is doing some remarkable chiropractic research, but what I love about it is it has almost nothing to do with pain, that has nothing to do with headaches, that has virtually nothing to do with being stiff or stiff joints. She's going to the next step and going, why does chiropractic work? Why do people heal? Why do our patients come in and they report not just feeling better, but the thing we talk about all the time is that their most common thing that they notice right away, the big three are, after my first adjustment, I slept like I haven't slept in a long time. I woke up the next morning and I had more energy, and my thoughts were different and clearer. I just felt better. And then lastly, a big one is digestion. And they go like, man, I just feel like things are working better. Digestion's improving, breathing's improving. They start to name some systemic thing. And then I go, how's your neck pain? They're like, it's still pretty sore. Or it's still, it's not like the one thing that they thought they came in for wasn't, the first thing that they noticed. So Dr. Haavik kind of broke this down. What's the research all about? Yeah, actually, and something really, really cool about it is that she spent 25 years researching something that's really one question, researching one question. What does a spinal adjustment, what effect does it have on the brain? And it's such a profound question and so impactful on so many levels, right? And her research was done in independent university labs, which is really crucial too. Listen, it's hard to find places, labs, universities, professors, doctors, any range of people that are doing the kind of work that she's doing. Yeah. Right? It's really profound. So when we say independent, what we mean is not affiliated with outside influencing money. And I think the big part of why she's able to do the type of research that she's doing that is unprecedented and it's needed, this is exactly what we need to happen in the healthcare space, let alone the chiropractic space, is that she is outside of the United States. We know that most of the studies are funded by Western medicine, pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, hospital systems, hospital collegiate organizations, universities. They're out there. They're the Harvards, the Vanderbilts, the whatever, that have these Northwestern, the hospital systems that are doing research. But no, because she's in New Zealand, she's able to, outside of that system, she's able to go and get money and funding to go, hey, let me just go do research. Yeah. We're not trying to decide what the outcome is going to be. It's not, hey, let's go make this drug approved or make it effective. It's let's find out why this thing's actually working in the first place. That's what I love about Dr. Heidi. And so she's really answered this question in a way that makes us change the way that we view everything. Yeah. Right? Because what she found is that when you adjust a dysfunctional segment of the spine, you measurably change the function of the prefrontal cortex within moments. All right. So dysfunction of the spine is that's a research term. Yep. Subluxation is the word in chiropractic. So, if you go all the way back to the beginning of chiropractic, you have to define what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're correcting or changing. And the word historically is subluxation. What does subluxation mean? It means a vertebra that's out of place and it's not moving well. It's dysfunctional. That was the word she used. So you have this. and this is a hang up in chiropractic, and this is a hang up between chiropractic versus physical therapy versus medicine, is you have this thing, this vertebra that's supposed to move and function in a certain way, and it's not functioning the way it was designed to. So then the question goes, okay, so if we move it and we correct that, that's called an adjustment in chiropractic. When we adjust the spine, what is it doing? And so chiropractors, on a very simple basis, if you've been to a chiropractor, you've heard this, is like you adjust the spine and it frees up pressure on the nerve, or you have a pinched nerve and now it's not pinched, or there's interference, now there's not interference. But what does that do? And that's what she was saying, is that it actually affects something else.
It measurably changes the function of the prefrontal cortex. And so the prefrontal cortex...
And what I love is she said, in a moment.
Yes.
Like it happens next to instantaneously.
Right.
And just so you guys know, the prefrontal cortex of your brain, can I use you as a model for a second? Your brain,
and then wanted to be a model.
So here's your brain, and then you have the prefrontal cortex of your brain. So frontal cortex, but the prefrontal cortex is right here. So when you're thinking, think about this, when you're thinking, where do you put your hand?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Trying to recall something, you put your, why? Because this is, the prefrontal cortex is, and I think she gets into this, the executive function of the brain.
Yes.
It's like the very front, it's the tip of the spear, so to speak.
Yes.
It's the, I'm looking for another analogy, but it's right there. It is the most important part. Your prefrontal cortex is where neurons, when they're firing there and they're firing well, you are thinking better, you're thinking more clearly, because that's where all of the executive function happens.
I mean, it governs so much. It governs focus and decision making, emotional regulation. It's the brain's ability to organize complex tasks. It is so much. It's so layered in what it does, and it's so significant that I can't even imagine if there was anything on planet Earth that you could measure to say that this changes the function of your prefrontal cortex within moments. We would, I mean, every person on planet Earth should be lining up for this immediately upon hearing that, right? Because it's that significant, it's that impactful in your life. And it comes to you really, I mean, it comes to you really when you're sitting and like when you come face to face. We were having some conversations earlier about coming face to face with people who have visible signs of emotional dysregulation, right? Yep. And like sometimes we see people that have signs of emotional dysregulation, like when you see adults that lose their temper and you're like, hey, we're not toddlers, like we can control our emotions here, right? Like some people have harder times managing their emotions because they just, for whatever reason. I won't get into the reasons.
When I think of disconnection, okay, I think of like when you're talking to a child who is emotionally dysregulated, you can tell they're looking at you, but you can tell they're not processing what you're saying in the moment. Right. I've looked at a kid before and said, are you listening to me? Do you hear what I'm saying? You see this a lot of times in adults when they're on a medication. And again, if this is you, like we want to help you. This is not non-judgment, but you see this in patients who are taking a chemical to handle something like anxiety or depression, and sometimes you can actually see this. And if this is you may not know this, but there is like a disconnectedness that somebody's looking at you, but you're getting kind of the glass eyes, and they're just kind of like staring at you, and you're wondering like, are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Are you with me?
Or my grandfather used to say, do you smell what I'm stepping in? Like, are we on the same page? Are we here together? And that is that executive function. That's the higher, this isn't the, we don't subscribe to like evolution, but this would be the evolved brain, not the monkey brain as they talk about. Yeah. This isn't like your dog running outside to go urinate because that's just what dogs do and it's habitual. This is like what makes us actually humans and what makes us better humans, that when the prefrontal cortex is firing, this is the thing that we look at and we measure to know that somebody's brain is functioning at like high functioning, brain function, high functioning people, high functioning adults. I like the term executive brain, because when you think of an executive, you don't think of, the person that just got hired. It's like the person running the show. And in your brain, it is. It's it's the part of your brain that's running the show, and it's the part of your brain that's telling all the other parts of your brain to function. So that's the part of your brain that you want functioning really well.
Yeah, and we're talking about there's so many benefits to this part of your brain functioning well. We're talking about clearer thinking, better decision making, deeper sleep, calmer stress, better digestion, more energy. The list just like keeps going on and on. They're not coincidences. When you look at people around you, and you know, I've said to you before, there's certain people that when you're around them, when you're in their presence, you just feel calmer. There's some people that you're around and you feel more energized and you feel more excited. There's some people that you're just...
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's right, babe. That's right, exactly.
And thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you.
That's so good. And there's sometimes when you're with people and you're like, wow, that was hard.
Yeah.
Like that just felt more challenging than it should.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of like running in sand. And sometimes you're with people and you're like, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Like what you're talking about, those blank stares and that just kind of empty plate and just kind of like, I don't know if anybody's home right now. And there's dysregulation that goes, sometimes it's hard to put your finger on, right? Like you can kind of describe it when you're talking to somebody about it later, but there's a whole nervous system response that's happening there, or disconnection that's happening there.
And I think that was the need for this research, is that you can see it, you can experience it, you can talk to someone, you can perceive it, but it is hard to put words to, because up until now we didn't have the research to actually tell us what it was, what was going on. You know, you've heard the old expressions. It was, these aren't exactly PC, but like lights are on, but nobody's home. You know, a couple sandwiches short of a picnic. You know, those type of things. And what that was there to describe is like, yeah, I'm talking to them. They're in front of me, but are they actually functioning at the level that I am functioning at, or am I functioning at the level that they're functioning at? Have you ever I remember going to a seminar one time, and like the material was like way up here, and I was learning from like an MBA from Harvard, and he's telling me all like, and I'm just like, this is so much. I'm like, this guy's executive function and now it was in his space, but he was like boom, 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 just going. And you get in those zones where people are functioning at that high level. Now here's the thing, we are all designed to do that. Now we're not all designed to be MBAs, we're not all designed to be, you know, chiropractors or executives or whatever, but like you are designed to have genius in the spaces where God's given you genius. And, you know, I saw a picture the other day. It was a fish saying, man, I wish I could fly. And it was a bird saying, man, I wish I could swim. And the reality is, like, we're all different, but we're designed to exercise our genius. And the key is, I was telling a friend this today, that our key is to figure out where our genius is. But what you don't want is your genius to not be fully expressed. And so if I'm not mistaken in reading Heidi's research, I believe that what they saw on average was about a 20% increase in firing of neurons in the prefrontal cortex. That's not a small amount.
Oh, that's not a small amount. That's a huge amount.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had a 3% increase in firing, that would be huge. But no, we're talking about significantly more than that. And what's really interesting is that when we're talking about, we've spoken about this before, where we're talking about how chiropractic connects man the physical to man the spiritual. Like there's this whole reconnection that happens in your body. And sometimes that seems a little bit like, I remember the first time I heard that, I felt a little bit like, what? Woo-woo. Yeah, like what are we talking about?
It's a little more spiritual.
Here? Like we're not talking about things that I feel like I can touch.
Tangible.
Yeah, it doesn't feel tangible. It feels very ethereal. It doesn't feel like something I can touch. It doesn't feel like something that's down here on earth with me. But the reality is that this research brings it right down to earth.
Yeah.
And it shows us in a very measurable way that you are actually a better human being after you get adjusted. Almost instantaneous. So
one of the things that fascinated me about this research, and I've met Heidi before on a couple occasions, fantastic human being, loves chiropractic. She was just on Russell Brand's podcast. So this is not like we throw out the name Heidi Haavik, and if you've never heard that before, or you're not into chiropractic research, you're like, yeah, cool name, whatever.
Right.
again, she was just on Russell Brand's podcast, so she's not irrelevant. She's actually, wildly relevant in today in terms of neurology and neuronal function and what she's studying. And she's on the forefront of studying things that medicine will probably start being interested in 20, 30 years from now. Kind of like the way, when Casey and Kelsey Means started talking about chemicals in food, it was like, in the holistic environment, we've been talking about getting rid of dyes and chemicals in food for like 30 years.
Right.
And it's great. We're excited that it's getting more attention.
Yeah.
But the same way that Heidi's doing this research right now, you are going to hear from it. You're hearing about it right now from chiropractic, but you will hear about it 30 years from now, 20 years from now. You'll be like, wait a minute. I listened to Dr. Ryan and Ashley, and they were talking about this 20 years ago. I don't want you guys to wait 20 years. I want you to know right now. Now, I've met Heidi. I've talked to Heidi. If I had Heidi here, if Heidi was here with us, which would be really cool one day to have her on the podcast, but if Heidi was here, one of the things that I would say as a chiropractor, practicing chiropractor who's doing the adjusting and not the research, is to say, okay, so you're telling me I adjust this person's spine, a vertebra, whether it's in the neck or the back, and their brain changes. So I push here and this changes. But when it changed something here, it had to change everything to get there. Like that's why it changed. Why did the prefrontal cortex fire better? Because something changed lower. And then in between, whether it's your C1 vertebra or your T1 vertebra or your L5 vertebra, when you adjust a segment of the spine, and this goes back to that idea that we talk about, that your brain, we call it brain, spinal cord, and nerves, but I like people thinking about it all as one thing. It's your nervous system. You have the control center of your nervous system, you have the trunk of your nervous system, and you have the roots of your nervous system. And just like if you killed the roots of a tree, the tree would die. If you damage the roots of your brain is affected. Yeah. Now, if you heal the roots of your brain flourishes. And so that's the part of the research that I love, isn't just that I adjust something here and then way up here something changes. It's that I adjusted something here and everything in between was influenced and changed and was firing and was healing and was functioning at a higher level. This is the motherboard. If it's a computer, you have a central processing unit at your brainstem. So the executive function of the brain changed because the processing was able to happen at a faster capacity, going into the brain and leaving the brain, going back to the body. So what does this mean? It means, you get adjusted, your brain functions better. But because your brain functions better, now you're able to put out 20% more output into the body. If you can put out 20% more output in the body and it's still not being interfered with at the processing's probably by simple math functioning 20% better too. And then what does that mean? It means all the signals going out into your body are functioning 20% better. So this isn't the executive function of your brain improved, it's your healing and your control and the effect that this has on your overall health improved dramatically. And yes, you think clearer, and yes, you sleep better, and yes, your hormones are functioning better. And who doesn't want all of those things? But that's the part of it as a practitioner that I'm like, yes. And that's also like, if you think about it, a patient comes in, they're like having neck pain. I'm like, I wish how could I teach you all? I would love to teach you all this, but luckily we have 12 visits at a time typically to start dripping education into our patient. I think that's, I think our patients come in to get adjusted, and like, if you just look at it as transactional, you're not just paying for an adjustment. My goal is that our patients get adjusted and pay for adjustments, but they actually get like tuition. They get to learn about how their bodies function better and why, and not just chiropractic. Like, I had a conversation with a lady today. It was like, what are you putting in?
Yes.
What are you drinking other than water?
Yes.
What are you eating other than fruits, vegetables, and meat, basically?
Right.
Like, what are we doing? And you can see her mind start to open up, and now her health and She literally told me that every organ in her body isn't functioning well, has been getting worse year after year by every measurable standard, with the exception of her appendix, which is the one thing that sometimes just goes wrong inexplicably to people. Right. And that's the one thing she said is working, but everything else is measurably wrong. And I'm like, okay, so here's why you're getting adjusted. But now that pathway is clear, what do we do then? Now what do you do in your life? And that's where chiropractic is more than just the adjustment. It's the adjustment opening the door to a lifestyle that starts to shift how you heal and how you function.
Right, which is the incredible gift that is the chiropractic lifestyle. That is what you learn when you come in. Yeah. And the pathway for just everything to change. There's a pathway for your family to change, your husband, your wife, your kids. I mean, who wants their husband, wife, kids, family to have better emotional regulation? All of us. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful gift. Who wants better sleep? Who wants better, who wants better, all of the things better? Who wants better executive function? Who wants to be a better leader in their life? Who wants to be a better leader in their job? And it's one of those things that has a cascading effect throughout your entire life. The same way that we used to talk about in our gym, that fitness, a strong fitness base in your life has a cascading effect everywhere because your health has just up-leveled. Everything about you has up-leveled, and that's one of the benefits of chiropractic here and what it does for you.
The people that I know that have remained physically fit and strong over a lifetime had a really good foundation when they were young. I think of like wrestlers and gymnasts and people that just like, it was almost hard to lose because they put in all the time. I'll finish with this. As I was talking to a woman this morning at the coffee shop, and I've known her and her husband for a while, and she was saying they never came into our office, full disclosure. They moved to Florida, but the last conversation I had with them was, go find a chiropractor. And she told me this morning, she goes, I started seeing a chiropractor and it's been life-changing for us. And she goes, actually, my husband's going to start going. And they moved back here and they're like, we want to get into your office. How do we do that? And we were talking about it. But I said, you know what I love about chiropractic? And I wanted to make sure that if she stumbled into just any chiropractic office, that she didn't just get the neck back pain talk.
Yes.
And I said, you know what's beautiful about chiropractic is that, and I started explaining this, healing, executive function, brain, your whole body is healing differently. And she goes, no, that's the part I felt. Yeah. She goes, that's the part I felt. She goes, I play sports, play pickleball, I work out, I go to the gym. Like, I hurt every day. Don't get me wrong. I use my body. Yeah. She goes, but what I felt was, I thought clearer. I could tell I was functioning different. She goes, we're going to get our kids in. And I said, amen, because the same way that a wrestler or a gymnast uses their muscles when they're younger and it's hard to lose their fitness. They can get out of shape, but those are the people, you ever notice those people that can like get back into shape really fast? Yeah. When you dig a little deeper, you find out they were an athlete for like a long period of time. Yeah. And that's what I told her. I said, the reason I get my kids adjusted every week, regardless, is because I want them to recover, function, heal well as adults when they get adjusted more quickly. And I'm thinking about our kids this week. 2 out of 3 of them, maybe even all 3 of them, but definitely 2 out of 3 of them came to me this week and said, hey, Dad, I want to get adjusted. And when I asked them, it wasn't about neck pain. It wasn't about back pain, although that happens. They play soccer and lacrosse and volleyball. But my one son said, in lacrosse, I took a really hard hit. And I'm like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, but I knew it was a hard hit, so I want to get adjusted. And what he has understood was, you can't take a hard hit. You can't go down hard. You can't have your neck crunch into the grass and everything happen and then get up and it didn't hurt, but he goes, I know I couldn't do that and it not have an effect on my future health and how I heal and recover. And, the other son went to Kings Island. He was riding roller coasters. And he's like, Dad, I need to get adjusted. Why? He's like, because I rode this and this and this, and I felt my spine and my neck jerking. And I'm like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, but I need to get adjusted. And they understand, like, it's not about pain. It's about, I was tough on my body, and the body keeps the score. The issues are in the tissues, and they know that I want to stay connected. It's the same way that, I went down to hug one of our kids last night. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, nothing, just wanted to be connected, man. Saw you in the morning. So yeah, and I don't want to just like say good morning and say good night. I want to be connected. And that's how we want our bodies to function too, is we want to have that level of connection. Spiritually, we want to have that level of connection. It's not just morning and evening prayers. Like, God wants you connected throughout the day, because when we're better connected to the source spiritually, mentally, physically, brain, nervous system, then we get to be more connected also. And that's really what this whole thing's all about, that we call life.
It's so good. And there's these times where you run into these
research that one, Heidi.
Yeah.
take that one. Like, let's ask, you know what I mean? We only get the answers to questions that we ask. Yeah. So yeah, we're asking, like, what is it doing? What is it doing in the brain? Now let's find out, what is it doing? When I get adjusted, does it change my connectedness to you? And if it does that change your brain? I want to know, if I get adjusted, does it change your brain because you're interacting with somebody who's more connected? Imagine studying those questions.
No, and it's so wonderful, and it's like those moments where you run into these folks. Like what we were having the conversation earlier, is that when you run into folks that you can just see the dysregulation. And listen, no judgment, because there's been times in my life where I felt like where my nervous system was dysregulated, and I could hardly stand being out in public, or I could hardly stand, being in certain conversations, because it was just, I think
we've all been, and
my joke
some
was
more
always,
than others.
I'm vibrating at the wrong frequency today. Yeah. Like, that was kind of my joking way to say, like, I don't know what's going on, but my nervous system is just very dysregulated right now. And I had a conversation, earlier today with somebody who just had a very visibly dysregulated nervous system, and all I wanted to do was just scoop her up in my arms and say, just stay here for a long time, because it is going to get better. It is going to get better.
It's one of our favorite, phrases is, the longer you're here, the better it gets. Yeah. And I don't think you have to look very far. Anything that affects your nervous system in a negative way, you can look at, like, alcohol. When people are drinking alcohol, like, you can physically see some of that start to affect their nervous system. Yeah. Drugs, medications, poor food. One of my favorite training things with my team is go eat a horrible meal and then come in and let's train and see how you function. And it's always bad because that connectivity. So I love this idea that, and I've never even thought that. You guys heard an original thought was, if I get adjusted, does it change you? Because I heard a study recently. I just heard this. I was at a seminar a few weeks ago, and they were talking about, they took people and they put them in a class to take a test, and they had their high performers and they had their low performers, and then they had kind of, just regular people, the average, because like there's high and low performers, and then there's like kind of the middle bell curve. And they took the middle people, and when they took a middle person and they took scores, whatever, when they took a middle person and sat them next to a high performer, their test scores went up, and it was like by like 18% or 14% or something like that. But when they took a middle person and put them next to a low performer, their test scores actually went down by like 20 or 30%. And they weren't like looking at each other's papers, hopefully, but they were just in proximity of a high performer. That there is something that's going on in and outside of our bodies that we can't fully explain. So when my physiology changes, when I'm functioning at a higher executive function, when I'm healthy, when I'm vibrant, when I'm alive, when I'm connected, when I'm adjusted, it changes me, but I change a room. And when you're low performing, when you're medicated, when you're subluxated, when you're interfered with, you change a room. And what this research about high performers and low performers told us was that low performers actually bring things down more than high performers bring it up. And so what that tells me is we need a lot more high performers.
Yes.
And so we need to bring the low performers into the middle and the middle up to the high. And we, as people, need to be trending in the right direction, not just for us, but as a mom, as a dad, how healthy you are affects your kids. You see this in families. And on every aspect. I'm not just talking about habits and what you eat. I'm talking about like real life, every single thing we do. Do you pray? Do you read your Bible? Do you get adjusted? Do you exercise? How do you eat? All of that influences it. And what I love is when you adjust somebody and they get up off the table and they're like, oh, that was great. I'm like, I just want you to know why it was great. That's why we do this.
It's so good.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, chew on that. We're going to keep coming at you guys with more of this every single week. And we just, little bites, digest it all. If you're looking to have that experience and to see that change, we want to participate in that with you. We want to work with you. We want to be your trusted, chiropractor and your trusted office and our team. And listen, everybody on our team is important. When you walk in the front door, that person smiling at you, greeting you, they just got adjusted. They're connected. The reason why when people walk into our office and they go, I just love being here, is because we walk the walk and we walk the walk and talk the talk. And so if you're looking for that, you're in our area, you're in Mason, you're in Westchester, you're in the greater Cincinnati area, alignhealthcenter.com. There's a button you can click to schedule. If you're not in the area and you're like, whoa, reach out to us, info@alignhealthcenter.com, and we will help connect you to someone who's going to help connect you back to the source of your function, your healing.